to see someone who's that good and that passionate about something is it's like being around a magician. And he led the cast and the production in such an exemplary way.
Us. I am so excited for Spider-Noir. I can't stop watching the trailer over and over again, especially the fight scenes, and especially for you. You are the first actor to bring Tombstone to life in live action. How does it feel to finally introduce this iconic villain?
I haven't really even processed that fact yet. It's amazing, of course, and it's so cool. It's a character that I've been familiar with for a while. I remember the first time I saw him was in the Fox Kids Spider-Man series from 94, 95, and seeing the depiction of him there was just so cool. And of course, seeing him in the comic books and the video games, and yeah, it's not really sunk in that like I'm the first, which is like a great honor. But what's amazing is that that character's getting a bit of a glow up in general. Like so, like in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, he's in like the cartoon series, and he has like quite an interesting part in that. And of course, being played in Brand New Day. So it's really exciting that Tombstone's gonna get what much more love, and I'm very very proud and honored that I get to do this version of Tombstone, and to be the first is amazing.
That's so well said. And I think, we have the same thoughts as you. We grew up with the Fox Kids Tombstone iteration too. We're excited for really the year of Tombstone, even leading into next year. I mean, you sound just like a fan, like we are. What is it like from the perspective of like being a fan approaching this?
Um, it's really difficult to put into words. Yeah, it is a legitimate dream. To do anything associated with like, I mean, comic books in general, but Spider-Man specifically is like, yeah, it's hard to put into words, but I'm so happy. It feels incredibly surreal. And it feels like the child version of me, like baby Abraham, dreamed this up, and 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 it was my job as I grew to look after that child, because that child has done all of the work. And I feel that about anybody who's in pursuit of a dream. I really believe that child version is the person that dreamt the dream in its purest form. And our job is to look after that child and make sure that child has everything it needs. So when I found out about this job and I found out about the character, I looked back and I thought about all of my childhood of like, I used to get £1.50 to school to buy lunch, and many days during the week I would skip lunch to buy comic books instead, and I would buy books. And I remember at the time it was the first time, it was around the time Ultimate Spider-Man came out. That was the first comic book that I would like, the first original series. Like, so I got that from issue 1, and then I would then,
Wow.
if I had money left over, I'd buy the Amazing Spider-Mans. And um, so yeah, I had like a whole box of comic books growing up in my house, and I still have, a bunch of comic books in my home. So yeah, it's like I feel like I've like stepped into a dream, really. And then for it to be this version of Spider-Man, Spider-Noir, I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan. I've always wanted. I'm sure you guys are the same. When the Dark Knight trilogy came out and you saw how dark you could take a franchise, I always wondered, like, what would it be like if you got a Spider-Man that was darker and grittier. So this is like, as a fan, I'm like, I can't even believe this exists. So basically, I can't believe it. That's
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 incredible.
as a summary. Yeah, I can't believe it. It's really exciting.
So your iteration of Tombstone sounds like he's going to be in that more grounded, maybe Nolan-esque world or something darker, a little bit more realistic. Is that the case, or is there still a lot of fantasy with Tombstone? I mean, is he like a super powered villain? Is he? What can we expect? How can you speak to that?
Well, I think you can expect from the series in general is a lot of groundedness, whilst also honoring the inspiration from the source material. Set in 1930s New York. and a lot of real stuff was happening. Great Depression, off the back of a massive war, prohibitions happening. So there's lots of like real history that grounds it, and of course they've taken a lot of inspiration from noir movies. So there's an element to the style, that showrunner Oren Uziel along with Steve, they created this world that was simultaneously like a wonderful and exciting homage to like noir movies from back in the day, but also dragging a new sort of life out of the Spider-Man world. So in regards to Tombstone and a bunch of other characters, I say you'd expect some groundedness, some like um, some weight, some depth, but still fun. Still a lot of fun. Still, you're still in fantasy.
That's awesome. And we did speak to Andrew, your co-star, who
Amazing.
also is going to be a mighty villain there. We asked
Yeah.
him if he had or got any inspiration for maybe some of the old villains or character actors that were in those Noir movies. Did you draw from any inspiration from any of those Noir period pieces?
Um, I didn't take from any characters per se, but I the script we were given was so it was so grounded, and it dealt with these characters dealing with like real things. So the work that I did was really to just like dive into the history of what it would have been like to have been alive at that time, what it would have been like to like live in New York, to come back from the war, to be going through a depression, and then in that given circumstance to have this other element, intrude. That was kind of where I took it, but I was very much aware of like all of the depiction of Tombstone thus far, and kind of understanding the essence of the character, and as a fan figuring out, okay, now I know what's written, and now I know how to honor the history of the time, and also honor what's written on a page. How much of what I already know of Tombstone in terms of its essence can I bring? So in regards to inspiration, that definitely was on my mind as well.
That's inspiring and that's encouraging too to know that you're treating it with such loving care. You're a fan too. I think, I mean, Nick is really our in-house expert when it comes to not only the MCU, but also Marvel in general. Nick, did you have a question about Tombstone? I know he has some stuff ready for you.
Oh yeah, I'm always prepared. And it sounds like Abraham, you are prepared to play Lonnie Lincoln, Tombstone. And the show itself, it took a different creative route, leaving out Tombstone's traditional albinism. How did you go about channeling the character of Lonnie Lincoln without that specific visual element?
Yeah, that visual element it goes hand in hand with Tombstone. All the depictions of Tombstone I'd seen, and truth be told, when I auditioned for this part, I didn't know what the part was. I didn't know how big it was. I didn't know anything. So it wasn't until I got in the room with the showrunners and they told me who I was playing that I had this moment of like, wait, I'm playing what? Playing who? So it was a massive surprise for me. But then when I saw how different the show was going to be in regards to all of the characters, from every, Webhead himself to Cat Hardy to Sandman to, it's not Electro, it's Megawatt. They were really doing things completely different. So I saw it as an opportunity to like find and create along with the writers and the team a new version of this character. Not a version to replace, but a version, an alternate version, another version in the multiverse, which is incredibly exciting. And as a fan, I am incredibly excited to see Marvin Bagley III do, because he was a Tombstone in the most recent Spider-Man video games, and he's just got an incredible gravitas, the voice, the look. He looks like the Tombstone that I grew up watching. So as a fan, I'm excited to see what he does in Brand New Day and going forward. But for myself, incredibly honored and excited that I got to take a crack at this character and bring a different version.
Because you and Marvin Jones, it is a year, for Tombstone. And looking at the Spider-Noir, the multiverse is expanding aside from the MCU. Now we're approaching the world of Spider-Noir. What can we see, if other heroes be joining besides, Spider-Man?
I think that the possibilities are endless. I think what's exciting and important is that the writers and led by the showrunner Oren Uziel, they are really interested in telling a good story. Story leads everything, and I
Mm.
think that's the thing that attracted us to this to comic books in the first place were incredible stories. And I think sometimes along the way, because you know studios know that if you have a comic book character, people are going to come and see it. Sometimes the story is left behind. So I'm confident that it's going to be story first. And what's amazing about this, Spider-Man, and the Spider-Man canon, there are so many. I think Spider-Man has the best villains. There are so many villains to draw from with such incredible and interesting backgrounds and backstories that, once you have the story, there'll be characters that I believe are just like, oh, it has to be this character. This is the character that's going to fit this story that we're telling. And I think that's what's happened in this first season.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And speaking of fitting in the noir comics, there was Spider-Man, but there were other ones: X-Men, Daredevil. But
Mhm.
Tombstone, he was Luke Cage's primary villain. Would you like to see your Tombstone based off of Luke Cage, considering that Mike Coulter is already playing the character in the MCU?
Um, I am honestly down for anything. Like I say, as long as the story is honored and the story itself makes sense, then I'm down for anything. As a fan, I would love I would love that, of course. I would love any opportunity to put on the threads as Tombstone again is an opportunity that I would take with both hands.
So you're gonna be fighting against, we could expect, we've seen in the trailers, Nick Cage's Spider-Noir. It's incredible. I mean, that we have Nick Cage as Spider-Noir in live action. What was it like for you and your character to, as Tombstone, to fight Spider-Noir, whether it be with dialogue, whether it be those action sequences, but also, in addition, what was it like to work with Nick Cage, the legend Nick Cage, the Marvel legend?
Yeah. Well, I'll answer the Nick Cage question first. I mean, every cast member will say the same thing. He's a consummate professional, and what really amazed me about him from the first time I saw him in the read through, he really cares. Like he loves this shit. He loves it. And to see someone who's that good and that passionate about something is it's like being around a magician. And he led the cast and the production in such an exemplary way. Um, and as an actor, I've been blessed to work with some amazing actors in my career. And, I don't say everyone in the cast, but I would say him leading it and, Brendan Gleeson and Jack Houston and Lee Jun Lee and Lamorne Morris. I think everybody was just incredible. But Nick Cage specifically was someone who had a lot of responsibility. Had a lot of power, but he had a lot of responsibility in leading this, and it's a massive swing they're taking. To make first of all a live action Spider-Man TV series, never been done before, in black and white, set in the 1930s. There was so many things that were new, big risks, and he held that responsibility in a way that I really admire. And from an acting perspective, just to see someone who was down to take risks and to play with things and not be afraid about what it looked like, but was more concerned about how to honor this character and make the character feel as lived in as possible. So it was really amazing to watch and observe, and it was incredible to work with him. And then in terms of the action sequences, I mean, again, incredible, a dream. I'm sure, whether you're an actor or not, if you're a fan of comic books or superhero stories, you've definitely had a moment when you've like pretended you've got powers and you look at your hand and you think, oh my God, what's happening to me? You know what I'm saying? You've done that a million times. So to get to do it, I've done this before, but now there's a camera here, and it's happening is amazing. And the fight that you guys will see, you've seen a glimpse in the trailers, but with Spider Noir was I'm still processing it. It was incredible few days filming that. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was telling my friends, like, I just came home. I just fought Spider Man. Uh, just a dream, a dream, a dream. It really was.
What do you want the fans to take away when they watch your character, whether it's in action sequences, whether it's a dialogue, whether it's us seeing you carry out, your everyday life in this 1930s period? What do you hope peeks through and really speaks to the fans?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. I think I'd love for characters to be able to connect with Lonnie and to understand what motivates him, to understand what scares him, to understand the choices he makes, and to for it to resonate with anybody. If it resonates with anybody, just one person, I'll be really happy. And I think so many of the characters, all of the characters, have been written in such a way where there's an opportunity for audiences to connect with them in that way. So in regards to Lonnie, yeah, I'd love for people to resonate with him as a human, um, because I think the opportunity is there for that.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it seems like, you suggested, right, him returning back to New York after this period of time and maybe being away. Did you like do any research into regard to that time period? How folks were experiencing trauma or maybe just everyday life, the experiences and difficulty of being in 1930s New York?
Yeah, no, I did a lot of research on it. It's very fascinating history, and also I'm a big fan of a TV show called Boardwalk Empire,
Oh
which
yeah.
is a HBO series which my castmate Jack Houston was. Again, I'm a huge fan of him, so to get to the character that I get to work with, probably the closest, was amazing because I actually weirdly the same year, I think maybe a couple of months before I auditioned for this, I just decided I want to watch Boardwalk Empire again. So I just started watching it again
Wow.
and found out about the job maybe halfway through season two. So I kept
Wow.
watching it for research, and it's honestly like the best sort of research, because that show is done so well. Um, it's done to such a high level. You really feel like you're there. So that alongside reading and researching things, and especially like things about the war and what it was like to be a black soldier at that time, where you'd have lived and how you'd have got there, and what it was like to live in a Hooverville. All of these things were just like fascinating to research and to apply to the script. Was an amazing opportunity. As an actor, you hope for these roles where you're able to like do the research to honor a character, and then to have incredible writing in the context of such a rich time. It just means that there's so many things that I can apply myself to, so many things I can bring um, to go and find and then bring back to the performance.
We're excited. I feel like we know your character already. Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for the insight. Nick, I think you probably want to take us back to more Marvel-esque things. I know I want to hear about the actor's experience and really your character, but you must have some sort of fanciful question, right, Nick?
Oh, I actually do. And I've known your history, Abraham, because let's just say that you've had a run in with Morbius. You got to work alongside with Nick Fury, and now you ended up fighting Spider-Man. What do you have to say, to this exciting journey across your past, Marvel projects altogether?
Um, it's so funny because I don't know how you guys feel, but as a fan of comic books and on-screen depictions of comic books, I used to get really annoyed when I would see an actor pop up in as two different characters within the same universe. It would really bother me. I couldn't get past it. And then I found myself in the same position. I was like, right, okay, well, you're not going to say no to this, are you? I think for me, it's again like with Morbius being the first one. That was like one of the first films I'd ever been in. A very small role, but like I was so excited to be there and to be trusted to have any role in anything like that. And also, I know of Morbius from that same Fox Kids Spider-Man TV series. Had a great storyline, the Morbius stuff in that. And I thought, what a great opportunity, what a great, um, you know, moment, to get to like play in and have a scene with Morbius himself. So much fun. And then I think the bigger one was like the Marvels. That was like mind blowing because I was just like, I get to work with Nick Fury. This is crazy. And to work with get to be alongside Kamala Khan and Captain. I mean, it was amazing to just get the opportunity to be on those sets and to get to work with Nia DaCosta, who's like a genius and an incredible filmmaker. So again, I was like, wow, okay, if this is my Marvel, I've done it. I'm happy. I wasn't expecting anything else further. So yeah, this third thing is like a dream. I will say to any people who are like me, they are all in different. They're not in the same place. They're never going to cross paths. You know what I'm saying? It's all Marvel, but it's all different areas, different universes. So I think it's okay.
That's exciting that I mean that you've had that experience. It's few and far between, right? I mean, Nick was Ghost Rider, he's
Yeah.
Spider-Man now,
Yep.
different universes. You know what Nick and I have been going back and forth about, and he could tell you too, we are really fascinated, just like you're talking about the Fox Kids series, Robbie Robertson and Tombstone, their relationship. I mean, I think Nick could speak better to that.
I mean,
Uh
yeah, as all of us are fans together in this little meeting, like that we know the history between Tombstone and Robbie Robertson in the comics.
Yeah.
How would a rivalry be handled in Spider Noir? Is it too early to ask?
I don't want to ruin anything for you, but the writers honored the history, created something new, but they have a relationship in this series, which I think is going to be fun and interested, and again grounded. So I think fans will enjoy that.
Yeah, and what can you share about Lamar Morris's portrayal and his working experience as Robbie Robertson in Spider Noir?
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone else in that role. Um, yeah, he's an Emmy award-winning actor for a reason. Um, he's magnetic. He's so smart and so quick and so funny, so warm and so humble. Makes everyone feel good around him. But he took the work seriously as well. And Lamar and I actually filmed the first scene of the series like a few months before everybody else did. It was kind of like a there was a reason why they did it that way. So we ended up kind of coming in and with, maybe not as much prep as we would have liked, but what we got to do was discover each other together. And yeah, I can't really speak highly enough of him. He's great, and I think people are going to fall in love with what he does with Robert Robertson in Spider-Noir.
I am so excited. I cannot wait, for all of this. You and the cast. It just and this is something new, for a Marvel gritty series, and yet now we're going to have it in the next few days. And Daniel, are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, and I think we're looking forward to watching it in black and white and the color. I'm sure that, you guys knew along with the showrunners and your producers and everyone that was a part of the crew what the expectation was for filming it in that black and white and color. But how did it affect your performance, or how did you perform knowing that it would play like a black and white movie, or it might very well play not too dissimilar from the like the regular Marvel shows that we might watch in color.
Um, my experience was I wasn't aware of the color element until maybe a few weeks into filming. As far as I was aware, it was a black and white show. And then I heard of the ambition for both. So, to be honest, every other department took care of that. The cinematographers were incredible, the camera team, the lighting team, costume especially. Like, shout out to Tracy. Having to figure out costumes that will look good in black and white, but then also will pay off in color. Set design, props. Um, it was really a massive effort to do this sort of unprecedented. Get was moments where I would look at the playback. So depending on the directors, the director would show us, okay, here's what the scene looks like. So seeing the style of how they were shooting it definitely gave me information of like, okay, this is the sort of performance that will work well in a frame like this. So there was a change that kind of happened maybe instinctively once I saw the vision they had. Because honestly, when you're filming, you don't really know. You don't know where you're just there. You're in the moment, and sometimes it's not always a good idea to see the playback. You kind of want to be in the moment, but there were times where I was shown, and I was grateful for that because it allowed me to see, how to tone my performance um, to be more compatible with the style that they're going for.
Here in hue or in black and white. But what challenges did you have to face? The fight scenes while wearing the simple prosthetic makeup, and how did you adapt your performance to maintain high energy and stunt choreography?
Mm. Amazing stunt team, first and foremost. Like, so they are professionals. They make you feel cared for, and safe. And they're just really good at what they do. And I've in my career I've been blessed to have a lots of opportunities where I've done stunts and fights, and I feel very confident in that part of my craft. Um, and in regards to the makeup, it was something that it took a little bit of getting used to, and learning. Okay, how can I make sure that I can convey the right emotion? Sometimes it would feel like, oh, I don't really know what my face is doing right now. I don't know if the emotion that I feel is transmitting through sort of the prosthetic, especially when, as you'll see, it becomes more and more pronounced. But again, you had people. I wasn't on my own. I had great people around me to give me the right feedback, to affirm me where I needed it. When I felt a little bit insecure about whether or not I was given the right energy, I was shown that, okay, here's what I need to do to land that plane, as it were. So yeah, I think every challenge was so welcome. And again, I even hesitate to call it a challenge. It is, but I was having so much fun. So it was just like another thing, another part of the texture of this dream that I get to experience.
Specifically when it comes to um not only you playing the villain, but we understand that not only in your role, but a lot of the other cast members who are playing these villains really have tragic stories.
Mm.
What was it like to play that specifically? Someone who might have a tragic reason for going into this life of crime or even fighting Spider-Man. I mean, that's tragic because Spider-Man's, I mean, the
Mm.
Amazing Spider-Man, right? He can hurt you.
Mhm.
No one wants to have that fate. They'd rather be a hero rather than a villain. But do you think your character prefers being a villain? Would he rather have a different life than maybe the one he leads in the series?
Well, I think a theme for all the characters, including Ben Riley, is there's a duality going on. There's the choices that you make when everything is great, and the choices that you have to make when things aren't so great. And essentially, like every villain, I think that's what the thing that makes this so exciting is that every villain there's a way in which they're a hero. They're a bunch of anti-heroes is another way to look at them. Everyone has like a very compelling reason that they're doing the thing that they're doing. There's something that they're fighting for, or something they're trying not to lose, or something they're trying to hold on to, which means they make the decisions that they make. And I think that the writers have done a really good job in making sure that even the worst of the villains you can understand, even if you do not condone their actions. And I think with Lonnie specifically, I really love what they wrote for him. Um, it means a lot to me. I'm so excited for people to see. I think like the journey that he goes on is yeah, it's a journey, probably the journey I've enjoyed most in my career so far.
Wow.
Portraying on screen, especially in television. So yeah, I think people again will relate a lot to it. It will be surprising, but also it will resonate in a space that feels real. Yeah.
What was it like to be steered by the genius that is Phil Lord and Christopher Miller? I mean, they shepherded and really helped guide the Spider-Verse movies. What was it like working with them?
I worked with them through Oren. So well, first and foremost, once I knew was the project that they were overseeing everything, as long with Amy Pascal. It's like, well, we're in good hands here. This is, and but also lets you know, okay, this is serious. This is serious. This is something that has high ambitions. And so there was just honestly just a lot of confidence, and a lot of passion all around. And the person I spoke with and worked with most directly was Oren. And yeah, just to know how much he cared, how well he communicated his vision, how open he was to be approached. That's not always the case, especially on something I'm sure he could see like he had a lot to do all day, every day. And he, along with his assistant Sophia, who I have to shout out, she's amazing. She's going to take over the world soon. But the both of them were so available to be approached, to ask questions. They were always open for collaboration. So it just meant, pardon, pardon me, it just meant that we were all we were all in the same boat, going to the same place, going in the same direction, and that really was something that was like you could feel it when you're on set, and hopefully it comes across when you watch it.
When it comes to um you fighting Spider-Man like the rest of the villains. Nick and I have been going back and forth about could there be a Sinister Six if you guys get a season two? I know you're very familiar with the Sinister Six, being a comic book fan. Do you hope there's going to be a villain team up against Ben Reilly, Spider-Noir, Spider-Man?
Um, I would love to see a story where that can happen and it made sense. And again, I don't want to say too much. You'll see what happens in the series, but um, yeah, a lot of things that are dreamed of seeing happens in the show in a very organic way. So things like that, I don't think are beyond the realm of possibility for sure.
Is there anything that you'd like to share about working alongside with Brendan Gleeson? Like, what can you describe, his character in Spider-Noir? Anything you'd like to share to the fans?
Yeah, he well, he's a brilliant actor. I think the whole world knows that. To see him in this world was like, I mean, just like a stroke of genius in regards to casting, because this is a prestige actor. He's an actor's actor, and he's coming into this comic book world. And what he does, he just brings, he's the main antagonist. He brings such a groundedness to it, but it feels so real, but it feels terrifying. It's like he's charming and he's funny, but he's dangerous and he's unpredictable and he's dark, and there's a depth that he brings to Silvermane that resonates very much with the Silvermane that I've been familiar with in comic books and in the cartoons. It's like, oh wow, like that is Silvermane. So his version, I think, is one that people really enjoy. And again, as an actor, I just learned a lot from him. Just how he took his time, in between scenes, and how focused he was, and also how relaxed he was, and his attention to detail. Again, it's remarkable. He very much like was, I think the best actors have this like one of the superpowers is like awareness, so his awareness of like the moment, what the scene is, his awareness of what this moment is seen is in the grand picture of the whole story. And he always had ideas to make things better, and also was very much aware of all the other actors around him, all the other actors and how what they were doing. I remember there was a scene particularly where there's a bigger scene with a few characters there, and my character's there, and he doesn't say much. Lonnie doesn't say much in this scene, and I remember at the end of that day, he came up and he said he noticed, what Lonnie was doing and what Lonnie was feeling in that scene, and I think that was a day where I really was like kind of blown away by his sensitivity, So a lot of excitement, I think, is to come from Brendan Gleeson's portrayal of Silvermane in this show.
Oh my god, I cannot wait just to see him. I mean, I don't know, it's too early to tell. Maybe he might have some, magic or technology that'll keep him stronger, because even in the early 1930s, even in the multiverse, anything can happen with technology, especially in whatever era. Like, who knows? Maybe he might have a robot arm or something pumping in his heart to make him strong. Well, it's too early to tell, but we'll have to see next week when the show comes out.
Yes, a couple days away.
Yeah, just a couple days away. Yeah, maybe he has to say something about it. Yeah, I got to represent for all of you guys.
Sure. No, I need one of those, to be honest. I need to speak to someone about that.
Let us know. I mean, if they don't take care of you soon enough, let Nick know, and we'll send you
Oh,
out one for sure.
Oh, we will.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. But if they don't, I'm happy for the backup plan. Thank you.
Yeah, we're here to help. And I think we have to wrap up here just in a few minutes. But what else would your message be to the fans as they approach the series? Maybe some are tepid about approaching it because it's not Disney or it's not Sony technically. And it's on streaming too. What's your message to the fans? Really, anyone that loves Spider-Man? Why should they give the series a chance?
Yeah, I think it's a new, fresh, and exciting take on a character that we know very well. It's just so different from anything they've ever seen. It's got all of the principles and morals of the Spider-Man we know, but in a completely different manifestation. And I would say to anybody, Spider-Man fan or not, just enjoy it. Enjoy the treat. It's such a treat to get to be in any world with characters that we love. But this one specifically, I think, is really special. And it's going to be very memorable. So, yeah, go into it with an open mind. give yourself a chance to escape into a whole new world, immerse yourself in it, enjoy it. Um, and yeah, if you are someone that doesn't watch things in black and white a lot, maybe challenge yourself with this show and see how far you get. And I remember when I watched it the first time, I watched it all in black and white, and then I watched it all in color, and it was such a cool experience. The black and white gave me the sort of the noir style, the proper noir style. But then I was like, okay, but what color was that shirt? And what color is that door? And what color is
Uh,
Is that what you recommend to the fans to watch it in black and white?
I definitely recommend to watch both ways. The way that I enjoyed was watching black and white first, but as long as they watch it, I'm happy.
that's right. That's right. And as people are stepping into this and they're giving it a chance, what do you hope as far as you know, a second season or a future for your character, or really any character in your world? Are you hoping for more? Are you hoping to revisit the world?
As a fan, I'd always, if I wasn't involved in this, I would be like, I want to see more of this. And as an actor who got to experience working with such an amazing team, I want to be there as much as I can. But ultimately, it's about the story first. And I think what we have in this first season is such a beautiful story, um, that if that's all it was, I'd be really proud. And I think that we can enjoy that if that is what it is. But of course, there's scope for more. Of course, there's potential for more. But in the first instance, it's an incredibly well-rounded season of television, which I think that people will be able to enjoy again and again.
We're hearing that, I mean, some of the bigger press outlets and so on and so forth are I heard one, saw one this morning saying it's one of the best superhero shows of the decade. I know that, some of these reviews can be a hit or miss or a blessing and a curse, but when you hear the critics speaking that early about the show and you've already watched it, what do you think?
Well, that's the first I've heard of that. I've actually not really been very much aware, but I'm not surprised. I think from the first time I read the script, seeing the team, seeing who was behind it, from Lord and Miller to Oren, all the way down to little old me, it was just full of talent and full of people that cared about it. So I'm not surprised that it's resonating with people, but of course it feels good that people are enjoying it.
That's awesome. Yeah, and we look forward to revisiting this conversation hopefully later after we've seen the show. We'll watch it in a couple days. We're going to a screening, and I think some of your castmates will be there, so we're excited to talk with them. But definitely want to get this out to the fans as soon as possible. Nick, do you have anything else for Abraham before we hop off? I think we have like 30 seconds.
Well, I just want to say thank you for your time. Speaking with us. Thank you so much, and we're looking forward for Tombstone and Spider Noir.
Absolutely. We'll speak to you guys soon again.